what do you see as possible now for your own children that either you didn't have or wouldn't have been available to them had you not found this ability to be with them? Jenny?
So my son is much more comfortable in expressing his thoughts, even if they're contrary to mine. And that transcends everything. So he stands up for himself with his friends. He stands up to me. He stands up to his dad, with being able to express, I'm thinking about it from a different way.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it provides new perspectives.
Yeah. Daisy. Can you unmute Daisy?
Okay. Ability to the connection. There's some. They feel free to talk to me. And they're bold enough and confident to help their friends in class.
Yeah.
So my daughter came home one day and said to me that she found out in fact, she said, "Mommy, I think I'm a therapist." And I said, "Oh, really?" She said, I asked her why, and she said, because the people in her class think she's lucky. They feel she's luckier than they are because she has a parent who understands emotions and how to manage emotions. And so that many times when they are, because they are all teenagers in their class, they're 13. So many times when they start, when they burst out, she's able to recognize what it is and help them regulate. So it's not just for her, it's her also teaching others, because like I said, it's something that is so new to us here in this part of the world.
Thank you. Jeez, you people. Richard.
Eva, you're so funny.
I'm funny.
You're going to need a day just to recover from all this.
I am very good at going and taking a bath, and it all just goes down the drain. It's my favorite tool. I had one before our team meeting this week. It's like baths just keep getting filled. Sorry to the electric bill.
This is awesome. No, I think for me, it's forced me to be. I say forced because it wasn't something that I was openly recognized, but it's forced me to be a student, and I love being a student with my children. I love learning from them, and it's every day is an adventure because I have the mindset of being a student. I have a mindset of, okay, what are they going to teach me today, and what do I get to explore? There's several things that I'm still trying to investigate and figure out with my 8-year-old, and why her mornings are so difficult, and she doesn't understand why her mornings are so difficult. But as a student, I get to listen, and I get to be inquisitive, and I get to discover, and I get to go on this journey with my children, which is so awesome that I get to be on this journey with them. So I love this. I love this time of and I love the comments made earlier about allowing our children to be who they are and to show who they are, because they feel safe and they feel secure, which is, some foundational principles of conscious parenting, right? And so I love this jump that I've made with Jai, and I think that's the beauty of what we are experiencing, and one of the great advantages and gifts that we have as parent coaches, right? To pass this gift on to other parents so they can have these kinds of experiences of going on a journey with their children and getting to know their children and learning from their children. So that's my thoughts there.
I love that. Thank you, Richard. Chris.
Well, what I'm seeing with my two kids, with my daughter, is she is so comfortable with herself. So I was actually, when I first started this, I know I had a client that has a son on the autism spectrum, and I was telling her about how I'm helping this mom, and I said, because I didn't really know what I was doing, and she goes, "What do you mean you didn't know what you were doing? Look at all this." I was like, so like she knows her own awesomeness and power, and because she's been free to just like, she's seriously free to just be herself. I once had someone, kind of a friend of a friend, she sent me a link to information about a cure for autism. And I wanted to reach through my computer and slap her across the face. I was like, what the, like, I've never thought of her as having something wrong with her.
Right.
And which is kind of an interesting perspective to have, not just with special kids, but for all of our kids. Like, she didn't need fixing, she didn't need curing. I was very clear about that. And I don't know that I necessarily would have, that I translated that in the same exact way to my son, even though like, he's a whole different, like for many, many years, like it seemed like he had it all together, which I think was kind of part of the problem for me. Anyway, so that's Maddie. She's like, I'm me, I'm awesome, I'm doing my thing. I don't have to explain it to anybody. And my son's kind of, he's on that path, like he's just on his own path. You know, we live in a community where everybody tries to go to a fancy college. And even though he's intellectually capable, it's not, sorry about my dog.
It's okay.
There's a trail behind my house and she thinks it's ours. So
Obviously.
I know, duh. But I'm just watching him just sort of like find his own way and make his own path and like, and really be courageous and do things I never would have done when I was his age. I was so afraid.
Yeah.
And so this like courage that I see with both my kids, it's just astounding to me. I'm so happy for them. And I actually try to think of that, like when he does something cool, I try to say, I'm happy for you. And I don't know what you think of this, instead of I'm proud of you, because I don't want to take credit for it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's awesome. I'm super happy for you that you have that courage to do that. So that's what I'm saying. Sorry about my dog.
Thank you. Lina. Oop, you're muted, love.
So for me, one of the things that really came up for me is it's not personal. So like, you know, sometimes like in the past, when my kids say no to me, and they do because they're toddlers, if this is before Jai, I would take it personally.
Yeah.
Because I mean, as a kid, when I was a kid, I never say no. It's always a forced yes, right? And now when my son tells me no, and he says it all the time, I don't take it personally. In fact, I almost feel very proud that he feels safe enough that he's able to stand up for what he wants without feeling that he's going to get punished or whatever. And sometimes when we go out and have play dates, he is very happy playing on his own. He has no desire to like play with other children. Sometimes he does, but whatever, it's his choice, right? So I feel like for me, it become like this mantra that I always have whenever my kid says no or does something that I don't like. It's not personal. It has nothing to do with me. Absolutely nothing to do with me. Yeah. It's him making a choice for himself.
Yeah.
And that kind of kept me going, because ultimately I want him to be an adult where he can stand up to other people and be able to say no without feeling afraid or anything of that sort. Yeah. So that's what I want to say.
Gorgeous. Thank you.
Can I say something, Kiva?
Yes, please go ahead. And yes.
Sorry, did Allyn want to say something?
No, you go, and then we'll circle back to Allyn.
I just want to, as Lina's talking about not taking things personally, and Richard was talking about learning from your kids, this week we were sitting at dinner and we were talking about my grandmother, who was not very nice. She was quite mean to me specifically. And so we were talking about it, and one of my 8-year-olds asked, about my grandma. And so I was saying, oh yeah, like she had this life where her mom was very sick and she had to drop out of school to look after her. And I'm telling sort of this story about her upbringing, and my 8-year-old is like, oh yeah. And she looks at me and she says, it sounds like she didn't really know how to be nice to you. And I was like, okay. Like, and it was just like this moment of, she was just like, yeah, sounds like a really hard life. And she just didn't. And I'm like 44, and I'm like, have taken that element from my grandma so personally my whole life. And then she just like, you know, shines this super empathetic light on my grandma. And it's just like, yeah, she probably didn't know how to do that. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so I'll be learning from
And
you.
you're
on.
good.
You're good. So we've done our work here, and let me know if you have any other insights. Maybe I could just roll out some of the other things I'm struggling with, and just let me know. Anyway, I just
She'll
wanted-
join Daisy's daughter in their new therapy practice.
exactly.
So good. Allyn, can you tell me more about this comment, what you were meaning?
That I guess kind of like at the micro personal level, when we can just sit and see our children for who they are, really relinquish the control, let them be who they are. That's that very like personal relationship connection piece.
Yep.
And then I'm projecting through what Lina was sharing, that like we can learn to not take things personally because kids are just being kids. Like
Yeah.
your 2-year-old says, no, it's not coming at you. It's them just being who they are at that stage. And like Ashley was saying, teenagers, hormones, like, blah. And actually I lived next door to a pediatrician previously. And when Nina turned 3, he's like, she's going to be like a 13-year-old. I was like, what are you talking about, Dr. Johnson? And he's like, 3-year-old is actually like a pre-puberty. It's like a dress rehearsal for puberty. I was like, oh, nobody ever told me that before. Anyway, so like knowing about the stages and like things that you're seeing from your child at that stage are probably perfectly normal. And you may not like them, you may not enjoy them, it may feel like it's coming at you full force. And when you can understand that the child is being the child in their developmental phase, that releases a lot of that impulse to go back at it and to
Yes.
react to it and to stop it or change it. If
Yeah.
you can just step back and say, wow, I hate it when he yells no at me, but I think that's what he's supposed to do, then it is another way of releasing that control. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I will say, as a person with a master's in early childhood education, I got way more about like child development through Jai than I did in that whole program.